Hi everyone, Barry Skillington here with Atlantia Clinical Trials. Welcome to episode 5 of Straight Talking Science. Today we're joined by Dr. Kieran Rea, who's our scientific director at Atlantia. Kieran comes from a long history of academic research and in industry research, and now, I suppose, distills science for us in Atlantia for our clients. So welcome, Kieran, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Barry.
I'm going to kick it off just around, I suppose, let's start with deciphering all the information out there. So, like from your personal perspective, what sparked you to initially want to translate research for the general public?
Interesting question. So I'd say I've always been, from quite a young age, kind of scientifically minded. So I was always, kind of interested in cause and effect. Both my parents are GPs, so there was always that kind of background information around kind of health and well-being. In terms of communicating, I would say, even if you go back to any of us when we were in school, you have some teachers that were really good and some that were maybe not so good. And there's different methods and styles of teaching. And sometimes there'll be, I'd say everyone has at least one teacher that said at least one anecdotal sentence that stuck with them through their entire life. So I think if you can, when you're conversing with someone, you can kind of gauge by their reaction if they're truly grasping what it is you're trying to say. And very often we overcomplicate it. So if you can break it down into its simplest formats and just be really clear and effective in your communication, I think it's really helpful. And this carries all through academia and industry. It's like whenever you're communicating something, the people need to understand it. So keeping it simple and ensuring that they understand it, the best way I find to try and communicate and make sure everyone's on the same page, and that there's a strategy going forward on next steps.
Okay, good. So on that vein then, let's start the process of helping people understand the immense amount of information that's out there. So like, how do you decipher what's real, what's fake news, what should I be listening to, what should I be ignoring? Because there's too much information. And we've talked on this podcast before about credible source being very important. But beyond the source itself, like, what would be your tips and tricks around messaging and how to decipher messaging?
Yeah, it's a really good point. And there is a lot of snake oil out there, and there is this kind of fake news. So I totally agree. What I would say is that, we are in control of our own lives. There's things we have control over. Everyone at the moment, it's kind of society. Everyone thinks there's a pill for everything.
Yeah.
If I'm depressed, I can take a pill. If I'm tired, I can take a pill. If I'm too hyper, I can take a pill. So it's like everyone wants a quick fix without really addressing the underlying problem. And this goes across the board for a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, if we go back to, let's think about just exercise. If you're a bodybuilder, if you take steroids or whatever it is to reinforce while you're working out, you get these big muscles. So you're taking something, but you're actively working out and your muscles get bigger. If you just take steroids, not that I'm promoting these steroids, but I'm just saying, if you take steroids, if you don't exercise, you're not going to get the bulk. You're not going to get the muscle. So if you think about it, the brain or our bodies, if you're not reinforcing and trying to work through the problem, the root cause. So let's say, for example, if you have a mood disorder, you're depressed. If you take a pill and you don't change anything in your life, you still have the same impact, same stressors, the same whatever it is that's causing depression, and you just take antidepressants, there's less of a chance that it will work unless you change something.
Okay.
So people have this misconception, I'm depressed, I can take a pill and I'll feel better. You need to work on changing the underlying problem. And this goes across the board for many, many types of disorders that we have. If you need to work on changing something along with medication or dietary supplements or whatever it is, that it's a kind of a more holistic approach rather than just take a pill and fix whatever's wrong with me.
Okay, but like in terms of the messaging then, so like today, I suppose your background is in brain health, cognitive health, right? So let's stay with that. What kind of messaging is coming through? Like what's new? Is there new research? How does the man on the street or the woman on the street, how do they decipher which research is real? If it's worth anything? Should there be certain sources that we go to, or is it like if you hear it a lot, it must be true? Or, what's the common theme that we should follow around? Because if I want to do something around my brain health, I need to know where to start. Where do I find that starting point?
Yeah, and another really good point. So I would say, to improve mental health or mood, you need to address overall health. So there are certain factors that influence everybody. So stress, sleep, exercise are probably the main ones that we are in total control over, that profoundly influence our overall health and our mental health. And a lot of the time, we will say there's very few people that eat really, really, really healthily. I can say for myself, I don't eat enough fruit, I don't eat enough nuts, probably don't eat enough vegetables.
Right.
But it's like, if you, so within your diet is basically fuel for the body. So when we eat, food gets broken down into, everyone's heard of it, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and minerals and vitamins. Everything we eat breaks down into those categories. Some of those different types of foods are easier to digest. Some are better for us. So the let's say the more nutritious, healthy vegetables and all that kind of stuff, when we take it and it's fresh and unprocessed, it's easier for the body to metabolize. It's easier for it to digest. It's easier for us to absorb. And in general, it leads to a better prognosis for your general health, which improves your overall mental health. So there are, dietary supplements that people take as well. I mean, there's countless number. Go into any pharmacy shop and you'll see minerals and vitamins all over the place. Generally speaking, from our diet, we get a lot of these. We get a lot of minerals and vitamins, and we get a lot of the dietary substances from our normal diet. What happens is when we're taking these dietary supplements, it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a supplement. So it's to supplement what you're lacking in your diet. So if you're deficient in something from your diet, because let's say you don't eat fish, not get enough oils, if you're getting those from your dietary supplements, it just basically ups those levels of what you're lacking. But a lot of the time, for the vast majority of us, a lot of those mineral and vitamins in those multivitamin things, we already get loads and we're just basically excreting it. So, but if it works for you, you feel better, keep taking it, because it has the recommended daily amounts that you would need. But these companies they're trying to let's say, hit a mass of people. Yeah. And people are very, very diets. So it's just, for everyone, it's just supplementing what they lack from their diet.
Okay, so fair point. Like expensive urine, we've all heard, taking multivitamins, but they do have a place in diet and supplementing with specific, maybe not a multivitamin, but, going to a nutrition therapist like we had Lisa from the Health Hub store recently, going to a nutritional therapist and finding out what might be like omega, a high quality omega oil if you're lacking in fish, and fiber, in supplementing fiber if you don't eat a lot of fiber, and so. So we've had that discussion, and I guess people can decipher that based on previous discussions we've had here with some of the experts. But like for you, let's go maybe towards the gut brain, the interface. So we have the vagus nerve, which I'm sure you'll mention. But like, what can people do? So today I want to change. I feel a bit down. I feel a bit sluggish. I want to change. So I'm obviously not going to buy a multivitamin, as you said not to. So what will I do? Will I start exercising and change all my diet? People don't change everything at the same time. So what would be the best approach? Like, what's the communication pathway? And again, where do we start?
Yeah, it's a hard one. And there's lots of things that we all know. As in, we've all heard it from our youth, from our parents, from our grandparents. Eat healthily, reduce stress, get the proper sleep. You know what I mean? So it's nothing really new. It's not like a wow concept that I'm going to communicate here. And on the minerals and vitamins and the dietary supplements, there is definitely a place for them. And in particular, if you're on a certain dietary fad, or let's say if you're vegan or vegetarian or on any specific diet, if you're omitting a food source, you're lacking that, so it's a good idea to supplement it.
Okay, yeah.
Just so you get a good balance across things. So it's difficult to talk about all these things in diet without mentioning the microbiome. And you brought up the gut-brain communication. So the microbiome is a key part. So the microbiome is basically microbes that are in everyone's gut. So we're all mammals, we're all animals.
Mhm.
And the microbes in our gut are a very important part of our, let's say, ecosystem. So there's a lot of foods that we eat, particularly fiber, which we, as mammals or animals, we don't break it down very well. So we rely on the microbes in our gut to just break it down a little bit more so that then we, as the humans, as the hosts, can break it down further and then utilize the nutrients
Yeah.
from it. And those molecules, when we break it down, then the body can use them. And there's this communication between the brain and the gut, as in the brain is talking to the gut is talking to the brain. If you're deficient in certain nutrients, the brain can signal it. I'll give an example. Sometimes you're in the supermarket and you see an orange. You see the orange and you're like, God, I really want it. It's like a craving. It's kind of like the body telling you might have a slight deficiency in vitamin C, for example.
Okay.
And it's kind of saying, eat this because my microbes need it, my body needs it. We're low, running low. So something like that. But in terms of, the gut-brain communication, it's constantly happening. We're unaware of it.
Mhm.
But the microbes they're like the factory that help us break down the food more efficiently. And we've all evolved with our own microbiome from a very young age.
So, okay. And just to interject, so the microbiome, I suppose for people to understand, it's not a conversation. It's not like the brain saying, how's it going, gut? I'm sick of that last night. Like it's a chemical pathway that they're communicating along through the vagus nerve, right? I mean, microbes can't talk. We know that, can they? So, yeah, like just so that people understand, like when we talk about the brain-gut axis, so that people understand there's a constant chemical or there's a communication pathway. It's not English, obviously, but there is a communication pathway that causes you to eat or do certain things, which is brilliant. So that you're body's looking after yourself, the brain, they're working in unison to look after the whole unit. So like changing the microbiome, how does that work? I mean, if we change some microbiome or some microbes in our gut, does that improve us or disimprove us? Does it make us,
Yeah, so the interesting about the microbiome, it's kind of like a fingerprint, if you were. So my microbiome will be different to yours, it'll be different from other people's. The way to explain it is, so basically from the second you're born, whether you're born by C-section or naturally delivered, whether you're breastfed or bottle fed, whether you're on antibiotics or not, your introduction to food as a, young toddler, everything you eat there afterwards, everything you put in your mouth, even clay or dirt as a child, everything can, influence the early seeding of your microbiome.
Yeah.
And that kind of stabilizes when the science says around 3 to 4 years old. And that's kind of your microbiome is kind of set from that path onward. By and large, we have the same keystone microbes, many of us, but there's individual signatures, different levels. But we evolve with it. It's in like your body has evolved with your microbiome. But the microbes themselves, they're basically living in our gut. They obviously can't see the outside world. They have no influence. But they're communicating with us, their hosts.
Yeah.
They want what's best for them to survive. And also, so we feed ourselves, but we feed them and they let us know as well what we eat. And there are some things that certain foodstuffs that they require and other ones that they will use, let's say, as a primary food source. And then if their primary isn't around, they'll take something else. So they have an arsenal of ways of being able to break down food.
Right.
And the food you eat nourishes them. And if you eat better food, you get more nutritional value from the food. In terms of communication, so you mentioned the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body that kind of connects the intestinal system and other organs, but to the brain. It's kind of just a constant signaling mechanism of your bodily status.
Yeah.
So it's kind of telling you when you're hungry, when you're full, if you're lacking stuff. So it's a kind of a constant in the background. We're not even aware of it.
Right.
There's other ways of communicating as well. So our microbes, our intestines are basically, they're constantly communicating with the body, not just the vagus nerve, but also releasing chemical messengers like hormones or neurotransmitters, and even bits of food that are broken down can communicate with the gut, and that kind of signals then to the brain. So it can be by circulating molecules in the blood that can kind of signal to the brain as well.
Right.
So it's not just a nerve telling us what's going on. It's the overall status of what's in the blood, and that can communicate across the blood-brain barrier and let us know basically your overall status.
Okay.
Just your overall status.
So it's a very complex communication pathway.
Yeah.
And the diversity of your microbiome. So, because we say, right, if you are lacking in something and you supplement, why are you lacking if there's this policing going on in the background? And should we not be seeing oranges and go, oh, gotta have that?
Yeah.
You know, so like if there is, and supplementation has its place, but like, why does the communication break down then sometimes? Is it diversity in the microbiome, or is it just not a diverse enough diet? Or
so this is a complex question, and there's lots of people all around the world working on it. So there's a couple of things first. Like if we go to digestion in its basics, so as I said, there's kind of breaks down into proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and then minerals, vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
So normally for us, this is everybody. So when we eat, the food goes into our stomach. It's a very acidic environment. That's where a lot of so basically once the food goes into our mouth, we have enzymes that start breaking it down.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to the stomach, more enzymes start breaking it down. Then it gets to the intestines, where more enzymes break down, as well as the microbiome contributes to the breakdown.
Yeah. And
then we absorb the nutrients across the intestines.
Right.
That's basically how it works. And then whatever we don't use is kind of excreted. But it's kind of like putting diesel in the car. You know what I mean? So we need to feed it for it to be efficient. A key part of this is your stomach, the enzymes in your stomach. So the pH of your stomach, for the enzymes to work, the stomach has to be at the right pH, which is quite acidic. You'll have heard this, the acidic environment of the stomach. What's really something that people aren't fully aware of a lot of the time is it takes time. So your body, your stomach isn't constantly at that pH. Otherwise it would be eating itself up.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of fluctuates. But when you're anticipating food, your brain is telling your stomach to reduce the pH so that your enzymes are at the perfect status to break down your food efficiently. And most of us in today's society have erratic eating hours, or we're on the go. You know, you go to a fast food or a Chinese, you're buying the food, you're eating it, and off you go. What happens is you have this lumps of food that are going into your stomach, and they're not at the right pH, so you get inefficient digestion in the stomach. And then that gets into the intestine, and it's kind of like, in theory, what you would like is your food to almost be like a soup when it's hitting your intestines. And that way your body can absorb it more easily across the intestine. We're just talking about particle size here.
Yeah.
But if you don't have it primed, a lot of the food in your stomach is partially digested. So you've got lumps that are then going into your intestines that aren't being digested efficiently. So kind of the take home here would be, you know, if we go back to like evolutionary, chew your food. We say chew your food, great start. And we say this to our children all the time, yeah, chew your food. But also, you know, going back to older times, when you're preparing your own food and you're cooking and you're in the kitchen, or if you're aware that, you know, someone else is cooking and you're kind of, your brain is priming and anticipating.
Right.
Your stomach will get the right pH and can break down more efficiently. So what I would say is if people can in some way try and regulate their eating patterns, but it's not erratic, even people that think they're eating the healthiest diet in the world, you have erratic eating times, you're not breaking down that really healthy, nutritious food efficiently. Okay. So it's kind of if you can get more structure or get more regulated in when you eat, can be efficient.
Okay. So, all right, which is good. So it's like lifestyle has a lot to do with it.
Huge.
Eating times, you know, even quantities of food. Yeah. Lots of snacking, no main meals. There's a lot of different things. So like old advice is the best advice. We know that. So outside of that then, so we know now we have your microbiome. It's with you. It's your foot fingerprints from birth or just after. And like a lot of us don't mind our microbes. We it's there.
Mm.
Some of us don't even know it's there. It's just, pipe goes in, comes out, and that's it. So I suppose some of this series is about acknowledging that it's there and what you can do to help it stay good or stay healthy your entire life. So now let's circle back towards one of the areas, like it's that beyond homeostasis of nutritional stasis in the body. Let's talk about brain, cognition, clarity. A lot of people are concerned about their brain.
Mm.
And is my memory slipping? And Alzheimer's is front and center in the news, and everybody thinks they have Alzheimer's, or oh my God, I'm going to get dementia, or whatever. So maybe let's initially talk about the whole focus, energy, cognitive center of the brain, and then what can we do to keep it sharp, whether that's diet or whether it's other things like.
Again, so it all boils down to, as you say, common knowledge. So this is nothing new, nothing groundbreaking. So, if people say, oh, what's the best thing for focus and energy and attention? I mean, if I were to ask you, what's the thing that makes it least efficient for you? You'd probably say, oh, sleep. If I don't get enough sleep, I'm sluggish, I'm tired, I don't think. So sleep is, and good quality sleep.
Yeah.
Stress plays a huge part as well. So it's kind of, if you can, and these are all linked, and these are all things we can very easily manage. So if you are, yeah. So I mean, think
like if I'm not sleeping well or I'm stressed, just by saying, well, I'm going to get better sleep. Like, how do I get better sleep, and how do I get rid of the stress?
Yeah, all linked. So, and I'd bring in exercise as well and diet. So a few simple things that people can do. So you are in control of your own life. I know we think we're not, but we are.
Right.
If you have a stressful job and you've loads of things that are weighing on your mind that are affecting your sleep, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this. I mean, this is common stuff and people will have heard it. You can kind of try and get more structure, as in planning out your week, even writing things down so you don't have to mull them over, and create okay, I'm going to do this first, this second, this third. So you're kind of just dumping that. If your mind isn't racing so much, you will tend to get better sleep. That's a really simple thing. May not work for everyone all the time.
Right.
But why carry it? Simple way to just kind of do a kind of a dump.
Yeah.
Just leave it to the side. Exercise. Very simple. And I'm not talking about now going out running marathons. Any kind of exercise is good for you, right? So even if it's just going for a simple walk, a jog, just getting out and about.
Yeah.
So exercise will make you physically tired, which will also, your body needs to recover. So if you're exercising, you will be more tired. You will get better quality sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. So things like, you can exercise, reduce stress, and easy. We're all stressed. We all have different stresses in our job, and there's always something new. There's a new thing that's a new priority. But if you can get more structure or organization, like by planning out your week, and I'm not talking about necessarily at work. This can be in your home life as well.
Yeah.
If you've too many chores, you're feeling overwhelmed, delegate. If you've kids and they're not doing their jobs, put up one of those little calendars and say, this is your responsibility on this day or whatever. If you give a bit of structure, things can reduce stress. If you're getting up every morning and you're trying to get the kids up and get everyone fed, maybe try and get up 20 minutes earlier, and then you've that lower stress at the start of the day, and it makes for a better. So these are things that we are in control of. I don't know about everyone else, but I have a tendency to hit the snooze button. We have a choice. Yeah, but you have a choice. You make the choice of, I'll just sleep for another 10 minutes. And then that's put pressure on the rest of your day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a switch in your brain. I'm in control of this.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to get up now.
Okay.
So you can control stress to some extent, sleep by reducing stress, and exercise should improve your sleep as well. Really simple things. That improves your overall health. That improves your overall cognitive performance.
And there's a good underlying point there. So, as you said at the beginning, if you're stressed and you're getting bad sleep and you have poor diet and you don't exercise, there is no pill. Even if there was a pill, it won't fix it. You must actively chase the solution yourself.
Yeah.
So prioritizing lists, organization, getting yourself, we thrive on structure. So all of these small little changes can be made to, affect the bigger systems within the body.
Yeah.
Right. So, poor sleep for a long time has a dramatic effect on your aging. Right?
Yep.
And so maybe we should have a chat about the aging brain, because we have our microbiome. It's coming with us all. Everywhere we go, it's there. Everything we put in our mouths, it's subject to the change. All the drugs we take throughout our life, all the way through what we eat consistently, how much we drink, how much we exercise, right? And that, of course, has an impact on cardiovascular health and other metabolic systems. But let's just talk about the brain. So what can we do to keep our brain? I know a lot of it will tie to what you just said, but is there other things we can do to keep the brain a bit more limber?
Yeah. So again, think of the brain like a muscle.
Yeah.
If you're not using it, it'll start to kind of wither away. So there are simple things like, reading, doing puzzles, music, even social interaction, having conversations. There's a lot of apps you can do nowadays, which kind of leads into that part. So a good thing and a bad thing, a blessing and a curse. But anything to keep your brain active. And again, this is nothing new. It's like, if you can maintain doing a crossword, doing a Sudoku puzzle, as I said, there's plenty of apps. Music is great because it's kind of exercise as well. I mean, people kind of underestimate, even doing exercise, playing sport. I mean, the amount of mathematical computation it takes to actually catch a ball. If you really thought about it, someone throws something at you and you're looking at it, you have to guess what size that is, what weight it is, how fast it's coming, where you're going to put your hands to catch it. All this is going on in a fraction of a second. That's keeping your brain active.
Okay.
Any kind of exercise, even getting out and walking. I mean, your brain is putting one foot in front of the other. Completely take it for granted. But that is, I mean, think of, obviously we can't remember learning to walk, but when you see other people learning to walk and it looks so difficult, your brain is doing these really complex, intricate motor skills. So exercise, we don't necessarily think of it as a cognitive thing, but it very much is, and it's reinforcing how we, keep our brains active.
Right.
So all of these things contribute.
And that's beyond nutrition then. So because in this series we've talked about supplementation with omegas and various other things. So that's really good. So like exercise and, just mental exercise almost.
To
keep the brain limber. And in terms of then, like, should people worry, has dementia and Alzheimer's, has it risen within the populace? Is it ultra processed food? It's the pollution in the air, it's the water, it's the plastic. Like, has it gone up? Do we know from research or?
So the kind of current belief, it's not necessarily that it's gone up. It's always been there. In the last, 20, 30 years, we have this increased life expectancy. So we are living longer. And a lot of the time, a lot of these disorders that affect a lot of brain conditions are in the aged population. Not all, but a lot of them are in the aged population.
Yes.
And, if we live longer and more of us live longer, then it seems like it's become more prevalent, that it's more of an epidemic. So it's unclear when you factor in all these things as well. But it has always been there. I mean, there were different names for it back then. So we have different ways of categorizing it now. So, I mean, if you go to how to give a diagnosis, it's more defined now. Whereas back 50 years ago, 100 years ago, we didn't have names necessarily for the different types or classes of disorders. So they've always been there. Whether there's more of a prevalence now, it's unclear. But there has been, a shift in our dietary lifestyles. Definitely a shift in medication, availability of medication, things like this. Our lifespan is definitely longer. So we have more of an elderly population than we did 50 years ago. And a lot of these are age-related disorders. So our brains as well have this kind of neurogenesis. So the birth of new neurons in our brain. As we age, our brain and our communication between all the neurons that are in our brain, it becomes a little bit less efficient. And that's kind of when we kind of can get some sort of decline. So keeping it active, it's kind of like use it or lose it. So our brain it's an efficient organ. If you're not using something, it's like, this doesn't need to be here. It's inefficient. It's taking up energy. I'm going to prune it. We don't need it. So if you're not using it, the brain, the body will say, okay, this is redundant now. I don't need it anymore. So it's kind of like, if you keep reinforcing different kind of cognitive skills, it'll keep your brain more active. And the thought is, it's very difficult to prove, but it's like the thought is if you can keep more exercise in your brain, you should have a stronger chance of a healthier cognitive outlook.
Okay. Okay, it's interesting because it is the biggest consumer of energy in the body, of course, and genetics determine efficiency. So, right, but like maybe just as we head towards the end, is there an acceptable level of slippage? Would you say? I mean, should people be? Oh my God, I couldn't remember that guy's name there. Jeez, that would never have happened to me before. I'm definitely getting Alzheimer's. Like I hear that at home most.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening, or is it like it's just overload of information these days as well? I mean,
could be. Yeah.
Should we give ourselves a break?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, if you were to worry about everything, your stress levels go through the roof, and then you're compounding the whole problem anyway. It's a tricky one. So, and I mean, just coming back again to kind of, I think there's much more awareness of it now.
Yeah.
So even if we go back, say 20, 30 years ago, we spoke about the microbiome earlier. It's been there since we were cavemen, our microbiome. Even before that, we've evolved with them. They've always been there, but it's only coming to the fore in the last 2 or 3 decades about the role it plays.
Yeah.
They've always been there. We know for a fact that your diet, if we talk about Mediterranean diet, I know you've talked on previous podcasts about this, they tend to have a better healthy aging prognosis. There's probably other lifestyle factors there that contribute. But in terms of there are yes, the brain uses a lot of energy. We do forget stuff. We do need to give ourselves a break. And, everyone is different, you know what I mean? In terms of, I know myself, I'm quite forgetful. I like to argue that it's just, I have a high, filtering process system. If it's not relevant for me, in the immediate future, I kind of tend to push it to the side.
Right.
And then I forget about it. But things, and I mean, people often worry, well, what are signs I should be looking out for?
Yeah.
I mean, that's difficult because if you're the person that is having cognitive decline, it's difficult to be aware of it.
It is.
It is probably more people that know you well, family and friends,
right,
that might be aware of it. And that could maybe, in a gentle way, suggest that maybe it's something you could go and get,
get tested for
and see it as something that could be useful.
But right below that level, sub level to that, there must be an acceptable level of, we go through cycles. If you're stressed or you had a poor couple of nights sleep, you might be a bit more forgetful. You do not have Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
It's over a longer period. You'd want to be noticing real slippage.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So, okay, that's really good. So, just to circle back, as ever, and as in all the episodes we've talked about, diet, lifestyle have huge amount to play in all the systems we talk about. So having unprocessed or as much unprocessed as possible, moving as much as possible, mental acuity comes down to, mental exercise, if you like. Then changes in lifestyle, being organized, getting better sleep. And there's a lot of information out there on getting better sleep, so we won't go into it today, but there's a lot you can do. If I had to ask you for, 1 or 2 top tips, what would you change? What would be your top? If someone says to you, Kieran, tell me, how can I change my cognition tomorrow?
I would say you're in control.
Yeah.
Choose wisely.
Choose what?
Plan better.
Okay.
So rather than, as I say, hitting the snooze button or go, I'll do that later, go, no.
Unlike you.
I'll do it now. Yeah. I'd love to say it. So please say, practice
that snooze button.
Practice what you preach. I mean, we're all guilty of it, but it's kind of like a switch in your brain. You can make that choice.
Okay.
So decide better.
Yeah.
Choose better. And look after yourself, a bit more.
Right. Which is actually very pragmatic when you think about it.
Yeah.
People don't think about that. The choice is yours. It takes effort.
Yeah.
You
choose what you
that
eat.
first step. Yes.
Choose how much you eat.
Yeah.
You choose if and when you exercise.
Yeah.
You choose when you go to bed. You choose how much time you spend scrolling.
Yeah.
These are all things we are completely in control of.
Right. And people say, I don't have time, I'm too busy to eat a healthy diet, but an apple is really accessible, or a banana, enough.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a protein bar. So, okay, that's good. That's really good. So thank you so much for coming in and for your time. I hope people found that interesting. I certainly did. And yeah, so from everybody out there, like and share, make sure to keep the science rolling. Thanks so much.
Thank you.